Welcome to Blue Tinted Glasses, the home of Leicester City talk on YouTube. Fan debates, live watch-alongs, post-match reactions, and all the Foxes banter you could ask for. Subscribe now and see the game through Blue Tinted Glasses.
Just into race clear. He's got Jamie Vardy with him. Jamie Vardy sets off. Jamie Vardy! Pull back here for Darwin. Oh, he scored! An absolute belter! That is trademark Abdul Darwin.
This one into the box. Nugent over the top. Oh, what a goal! David Nugent's just scored a beauty. He's made Forest look like fools.
Premier League champions 2016. The amazing Leicester City.
Good morning and welcome back to Blue Tinted Glasses. We have a special edition of Good Morning Foxes today. As you can see, Graham, Kate, Steve. Sorry we're late. We've been setting everything up. I hope you're all well. Make sure to hit the like button on the stream. If there are any audio issues, then bear with us. Apologies. We'll improve it for next time. But yeah, get your comments in. Let us know what you thought to the game yesterday, what you think to Rodkin, and the manager as well. So before we get into it, Graham, how are you, mate? Good to see you.
Well, it's lovely to be back in the sunny county of Leicestershire with some lovely people and locks. And yes, I attended my first game this season, and it was gash, wasn't it? Yes,
it was terrible. I didn't get a Rodkin is a CUNT from Graham.
No, I didn't hear many of that going on. Only the usual suspects booing the place down.
I think you did call the ref a CUNT, though.
I think every ref we've had this season's a CUNT.
Yeah, I think so. Over to Kate and Steve. I'll come to Kate first. How are you this morning?
Yeah, I'm all right this morning, although obviously very disappointed after yesterday's performance. A bit of a shit show, really. Good first 15 minutes or so. Again, I thought we might rue those chances that we missed, and we really did, but I didn't expect such a disappointing display, really. How about you, Steve?
Well, I'm Steve, in case Imran's watching. I am Steve. It was disappointing. I stayed until the end just to see the guys next to me who has never booed in their life boo, because it was magic. But yeah, I wish I'd sort of gone at half time because it was atrocious.
Yeah, well, as I said at the start, get your comments in. Let us know what you thought to the game. Graham, I'm going to come to you first on this one, mate.
It's not Rodkin, is it?
No, it's not. It's not. 3 losses in a row in the Championship. Now, I know the Championship's a tough league, and, football isn't played on paper, as we determined last week. But 3 losses in a row in the Championship against Hull, Millwall, Blackburn. I mean, that's not good enough, is it? It's not good enough.
It's not good enough, but also the fact that, you're much too young to have that historic view that Leicester should beat these teams just because they have the names Hull, Millwall, and Hull and Millwall are on a roll. All 3 teams seem to, Blackburn again, they seem to play and have an identity. The issue for me yesterday, and I think Steve or you pointed it out, is that we have 11 individuals. Yeah, some good at one thing, but no team cohesion. So it's not good enough. But you look at the table, we're mid-table. Yes, we'll get the legendary points deduction, but something has to happen. Something has to. The manager's job is to motivate the team. But I also think, after seeing the atmosphere yesterday, and it's not all around the ground, everybody was disappointed yesterday. But you have the booing sections who start 20 minutes into the game. I might be paid 90k a week, but I know that every time I do something wrong, I'm going to get slapped. So where is the issue? Where can you take risks? Where can you be stronger? And again, I don't agree much with Paul Sherwood says, but it's like it's the 51st game of this season. No, everybody's carried on exactly the same as we were last year, straight into this year, with no pause to think, okay, this is a new setup and we've got to make it work.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of people say that, Kate, that it feels like a continuation of last season with some of the performances, some of the attitude from some of the players, the fans as well, like rightly or wrongly, the atmosphere. Would you agree with that assessment, that it kind of does feel like a continuation of last year, despite the new manager and a couple new players?
Yeah, I think so, because you've got the majority of the same squad that are here. So there's a certain tone about that squad that is stale, that is needing a complete refresh and rebuild. And so it's not a great surprise that we're going to carry over. I mean, the good thing, I guess, is that we have been scoring goals, and obviously we went through such a drought last year. But you can't expect different things if you've more or less got the same people in the squad. So yes, it is a continuation, and that's why for me there's no real urgency to sack the manager, because until you can shift some of these players out and move that staleness, which is unfortunately bound by contracts, then we're going to struggle to feel any different about Leicester City at the moment. And we've just got to hope this horrible run doesn't continue, really.
Yeah. Steve, what about you, mate? Because obviously, as you know, I've done polls online the last 4 games, and every week it's just gone more. The proportions are getting smaller. Now, I think last night it was 50. I've got it here, I think.
44 in, 56 out, or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. I think, something like that. But it is now on YouTube. It's different on Twitter, I think. But on YouTube, it's definitely more in favour of Marti out. So, do you understand why? Do you feel like it's just more of the same? Because I've seen people calling him Marti van Nistelrooy.
It's difficult to say. Like, I still don't think the manager is to blame for everything. I think you can point out things that he's done wrong, and there's fault all over the place. You can blame the board, you can blame the players, the manager. To an extent, you can probably blame the fans as well with the atmosphere and stuff. I'm personally, I think you give him the next couple of games, and if we haven't won by Norwich, then I think he'll probably move on from there, because you can't go sort of one win in 10 or 11 games. That, for me, that's sacrilege, effectively. But like as Graham said at the beginning of the show, you shouldn't be beating, it's no guarantee that you should be beating Blackburn, Millwall, and Hull. But to lose all 3 in a row, we have no divine right. But yeah, to not even put in a performance for those 3 games as well, that's for me is just, it's just not great. So yeah, I don't know. I'm at the moment, I'm still Marti in. I know a lot of people are Marti out, but that will change depending on the next couple of games.
Graham, obviously we were at the game yesterday. We were sat.
Don't remind me.
We were sat next to Kate as well, and obviously we stayed to the end. Probably because it was mine and your first game in a while. So I think if it was my 10th game of the season, I probably would have left minute 60 or something like that. But a lot of people online, somebody in the comments already said it, but we saw it with our own eyes. A lot of people were leaving 60, 70 minutes. Does that just show where the feeling is from lots of fans at the moment? I know Matt Piper's always quite vocal on fans leaving early. I think he was though more vocal on 2 years ago when we were winning every game and fans would leave at like minute 80 or minute 85. But now 3 losses in a row, 14th in the league. Do you understand why fans are maybe skipping the traffic, getting home early?
Well, I think that they're more likely to be what we did. I mean, I was really hoping that we're all going to the pub afterwards, but you're all scattered like leaves in the wind. But it's a lunchtime kickoff, so there's things to do in the afternoon. People are going to have bonfire night parties, whatever. I'm happy with people leaving early. I wouldn't do it. I mean, I know you were there, but there is this thing about being a football fan. You hope for a goal. You think, maybe 5 minutes before the end, somebody can actually do something useful and score a goal. And I felt in the whole game yesterday, these teams, if Leicester did score, we'd win that game. I think the thing about leaving early is I'd rather people leave early, because that shows more than booing players when they come on the pitch or come off the pitch. You're just being horrible. We all have frustration. Show your frustration. Bugger off. Yeah. So
you're anti-booing, which we knew anyway.
Well, no, I boo at the beginning. If you want to boo them on the pitch, you can boo them on the pitch, which I think is absolutely stupid. Nobody does it. Boo them at half time, and then boo them at the end of the game. I'm a sub. I'm standing on the bench. I've got to come in. I've got to get involved. Are they booing the player that's going off? Or are they booing the player on? You're just going to go, oh God, well, whatever you do, don't make a mistake. Don't make a mistake. Don't get the ball away. Don't, it's not, this is just entertainment. Can you imagine you're halfway through a play and somebody forgets their lines? Do you start booing?
Yes.
Okay. Taxi!
It's interesting seeing the reaction from fans, Kate, like when players come onto the pitch, because I think Silko Thomas was cheered on. What, just because he's young? Like, what's he ever done for the club, right? So he was cheered on, but who was it who went off for him?
I think it was Samari that went off for him.
Samari, yeah. So Samari was booed off, and I think Victor was booed off, and I don't think Mavadidi was booed off. But yeah, so I know how you feel about this, Kate, but feel free to talk about it now, because it was like the fast thing in the first game, was it Sheffield Wednesday, when he was booed onto the pitch. Apparently, some people say they said woot, but he was booed onto the pitch, and he then went and scored and gave the fans some shit back. How are you feeling now about every time a player comes on the pitch, they're just booed on?
I am always anti-booing, and then before people interpret that, I don't say whether you were allowed or not allowed to boo. I don't really judge on that. I just think I'm just anti-booing because I don't really know what it achieves. If you want Leicester to be better and you want the players to be better in that moment, genuinely booing doesn't achieve that. That is my personal view. And like Graham said, maybe before the match, at the end of the match, half time or whatever, I understand that totally. But booing during play, that is not going to galvanise and motivate the team. It's just not, because they're humans. But I understand the frustration. I understand fans walking out early. But yeah, I'm just against the booing thing, because, if you've got these young kids coming on that people were desperate to see, the youth, then that's not a great environment to bring them on and make them want to play for this club long term. So I just think, and I'll always say, is that fans have their own part to play. And I'm not sure that we're fully doing it at the moment either. So that's just where I stand on it, really.
Before you go to Steve, we never really need to speak to Steve again, but he's here and he's brought his own equipment, so you've got to let him in. That the part to play, when things are going bad in the past, the fans go, come on, Leicester, get behind the team, try and motivate them. And I know the players have got to do something for that. They've got to put a tackle in. That would be nice, wouldn't it? Not fall on your arse every time somebody runs past you and you get knocked over by the breeze. But there is no comfort from the fans to the players there. There's no support.
Yeah. Well, I find it... I mean, there's a comment here, Steve. Let me come to you about this. Because I know you've booed before and sometimes you do boo. But Frankie said, if they are getting paid 70k, and I know Kate hates comment.
Oh God, that one again.
And I know Kate hates comments like this, but Steve, I'll ask you: if they're getting paid 70 grand a week and played for like 60 plus minutes, and they've been pure garbage, I think the fans have a right to boo. So, what do you think of that, Steve? That mindset that they're rich and they're going to go home to their mansions and drive home in their Jaguar, like Kate. But because of that, they're okay to be booed.
Oh, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because whilst I don't really agree with booing players during play, look, I'll hold my hands up and say openly I have booed during play before, but I don't really agree with it. But if you pay your money, I guess you can do what you like at this point. I don't know it, but in all honesty, Graham, what you said is correct. That you're not going to put in a performance as a player if you're getting booed. You saw Harry Winks drop off significantly from 60 minutes onwards because he was being booed by players, for misplacing passes. But I guess on the flip side of that, if you've got players like Jamie Vardy, if we were playing crap last year, Vardy would put in a tackle and it would cheer up the fans. We're not getting that either. So, I guess it's a mixture of the both, where you need to see something from the players for the fans to get behind them. But also at the same time, the fans should get behind the players to cheer up the players. So we can all be working forward and rather against each other at this point. But yeah, I don't know. But I will say that fair play to Ricardo for pulling the players over at 90 minutes at full time to clap the fans and actually stand up to it, because I wouldn't want to have done that. And I know some of the players looked like they wanted to go down the tunnel straight away, where actually Ricardo said, no, everyone over and clap. So they fronted up to it. Hopefully that gives them a bit of a reaction on Tuesday. And and we see a different performance because, well, we are against a better team as well. I think we play better against better teams. So, but yeah, I don't know. If you want to boo. I won't have a go at you for it. I personally think that you can do what you like, but also at the same time, bear in mind it does have effect on players at the same time. So.
I'm not so sure about if they put in a challenge, the fans will be happy with that. Because I saw Victor put in a crunching challenge, and then 5 minutes later he conceded a goal, and everyone booed him. So I'm not sure about the whole... But I get what you're saying. I mean, there's a comment here which says... they're booing because it isn't one-off day. One player, it's frustration at the lack of effort and attitude. I think, yeah, what he's trying to say is over kind of a period of time. Stu Blue says, how can fans get behind this team, this board, the lack of anything from the players in terms of passion, effort? Fans have the right to boo. Graham, go on, mate.
Sorry, can I just say something to that? Stu Blue, what about through the good times and the bad? It's still your club. It doesn't matter who's playing it, who's playing for it, and who owns it. It's still your club. And through the good times and the bad, I just don't see a lot of that.
I guess the point is that it has been bad for a significant long period at this point. And
maybe.
Yes, but we've had dross in those 3 or 4 years, and the players that were here when we got relegated the first time are still players here that have been relegated the second time. And I guess the frustration is it doesn't feel like a club that people can get behind at the moment. Like, I love this club. It's something that I enjoy going to games to see the people around me more than the football at the moment. And that shouldn't be the case. It should be a case of I go to watch the football and enjoy the football. But we've got players here that have taken a significant amount of money out of the club. That's the wages they're on, that the club have given them that money, and that's fair enough. But I don't know, for me, it feels like it's just a continuation for the last 3 or 4 years. And I think that's where the pent-up frustration has become an issue. Until we see wholesale changes, which I think will be in the summer more than anything, nothing will change. And it's sad. It's a sad indictment of where we are.
I think that I just think that the expectations of fans has changed dramatically. If you go back before Locks used to come to football, I'd say when he starts shaving, but that's not happened yet either. But that you go to a game and, I've seen more games where Leicester played like that yesterday over the years than I have now. Since we won the Premiership, there is an expectation, rightly or wrongly, that we will be, people are getting annoyed because we finished 5th. I honestly don't know. I honestly don't know. The good thing is that a load of new people have come in to watch. Everybody gave up their season ticket, including myself, and that's been filled. I think the pressure, I know it's like slag off the board every week, but I actually feel the manager now has got to do something with the players. Is he a mediocre mid-level manager who can't motivate them? Are the players not getting his message? And why does he continue playing? I mean, the defence gets the blame for everything. But our wingers yesterday were dross. Miss goal, don't make chances. And the first goal, Fatal would never even made it into our half before the ball was in the back of the net. So they're not playing, left backs and right backs play with the wingers, play as a pair. Can he motivate them? Can he pick a team? I mean, it's almost like we go away. Do we pick a team to defend for like Martin used to do? Defend for 60 minutes and then bring on the wingers and that to try and get us a win.
Well, you take it onto the manager. So, Kate, I mean, I know me and you have both been quite vocal, like that we like Marti. We think Marti's the right guy for the club, and I think you always say, culturally, he's a really good fit. But there is no denying now, because no matter what happens in January, no matter what happens in the summer, the facts are we need to pick up results between now and January before we even have the opportunity to sign a player. And right now, he's not doing enough to get points from the team.
Yeah, I agree. I'm glad we've come on to that really, because a lot of this board stuff, and I've just touched on this point briefly because I did mention it on Twitter yesterday. A lot of this board stuff, we've all agreed, and we've had loads of comments over the past few weeks with the defeats that on paper this team is good enough to beat the majority of clubs in this league. Therefore, for me, on paper, the board have done their job. They have provided a squad that is suitable enough to compete and even win this league. So that's the board, and what's gone on historically is what's gone on historically, and there's been mistakes made. You can't change that. But the board, from my point of view, have done the right thing as far as they can. When the team and the manager go out onto the pitch, the board can't do anything. So when they go out onto the pitch, and we've seen, quite frankly, the dross that has been served up over the past 4 or 5 games, then it absolutely has to lie with Marti and the team as well. So Marti can put his message across, and then over the white line, the 11 that start takes over. And we have to focus more on that, because the board have provided Marti with a decent enough squad to compete at this level. So now Marti will come under scrutiny, and rightly so. And I personally feel, and it's something that I'm not strong technically on the game, so it might be something that you guys could help me with, but I think yesterday and in previous games we have set up so defensively. Samare and Winks were basically part of the back 4. So we had a back 6 plus Jakob. So when we attack, we only have 4 players to choose from, and at any one time there's only 2 in the box. And that's something that I'd like to focus on a bit more, because you could argue that we've got the squad. So now we need to make sure that squad sings the tune that we can perform. So that's where it lies with Marti. I don't want to sack Marti. His purchases or loans in the transfer window have been good. So it kind of shows he knows what he's doing in the window. But Rome wasn't built in a day. And this guy can only change players to suit his style or to suit his philosophy during open transfer windows, to which he's had about 4 weeks. So I think we just have to remember that. So I'd like to offer that really round about what we can do technically on the pitch when the board have done their bit, the manager goes out there, and then the players cross the white line.
I would say he's only had 1 day of the transfer window, actually. We signed 2 goalkeepers, but we only had 1 day. Well, we could.
I mean, we also got rid of a load of deadwood. We didn't get, the deadwood that people want to get. And I do think the management, past the manager, the director of football and whoever went out and got players, they did a good job for the best job they could for the summer, apart from getting us a striker. And unless you got 30 million in your back pocket, we're not going to get a decent centre forward.
I mean, just to buzz, yesterday he didn't pick Thomas, right? He picked the alternative option, the second in command, if you like, at the left back position. He didn't pick Daka. Daka came off the bench, and Samari played because Ramsey's injured. Although I think we can all admit that it shouldn't be Samari anyway. It should probably be maybe another number 10, because JJ isn't a 10. But Steve, let me ask you, mate, because what Kate said about too defensive, it reminds me a little bit of when Rude went defensive and shipped 4 to Everton. I feel like Marti maybe is trying to just not concede as many goals, but we're still conceding those goals. And I always say this to Imran, because Imran kind of doesn't want any possession-based football. The reason I think possession-based football is what we need to do is because I don't want us to have to defend. I want us to have as much as the ball, because I think when we have to defend, I think that's when we're at our worst. Like, we just can't defend, which of course is partly on Marti as well. But yeah, I don't know. I wanted to get your thoughts on that, because I think Kate's right. It was quite defensive, but we still conceded 2 and scored none.
Yeah, so my issue with the way we're playing at the moment is that we are defensive, but also we're playing out from the back. So if we make a mistake from passing out from the back, they're at our 18-yard box straight away. And then at that point, we're trying to defend like headless chickens to try and get the ball out. You saw at times yesterday where if somebody presses us high, and it happened at Millwall and it happened at Hull, that if you press Vestergaard and Thomas on that side, they panic and just kick the ball up the pitch, and then they get the ball back anyway. And then we're always under pressure. So I think it is a tactics issue for sure. We aren't great at defending. But I also don't think he knows what his best lineup is for defence yet. I still think he's saying, well, Vestergaard's fine. Ricardo can do a job, but at what extent can Ricardo actually do a job nowadays? And then it's a Coley and Nelson or Fass, or is it VK or Thomas or a Luco? I don't think he actually knows. So we're shipping goals because the tactics aren't working properly. We're not set up well for the teams that we come up against. And also, a lot of people say about Enzo football that we played. That was fine because, and we talked about it yesterday, Kate, back when we were in the Championship a couple of years ago, when Enzo was playing with the ball, a lot of the teams didn't know how to deal with that. because they weren't ready for it. You know, it hadn't dropped down to the Championship necessarily. Whereas now, most teams play out from the back. They do that stupid goal kick where we pass it to each other, you know, and I hate it. And they know that if they're all fit, they can all press. So the one advantage we had in regards to, we'll pass the ball around them, that doesn't happen anymore. So I think a full change, maybe a 3-5-2 or 4-4-2 at this point. I don't care. You know, get the Brexit ball in. Just make us strong in defence and strong in midfield, and just have runners. And if we've got runners that are putting in the effort, we'll probably win more games. But right now, and that is on Marti. I would say that's on the manager. So
I think that we're being really harsh on the defence, and because players make mistakes, goals are scored because players make mistakes. But we're not making mistakes in midfield. We're making mistakes in their third, and we're pressed up to the halfway line or whatever, and players are running through us. So when Yannick, Thomas, or whoever's in the defence is standing there, they've got somebody already running at them. I mean, I thought Okoli had a brilliant game yesterday, and one of his best tactics was that little bit of shove and pull, and got the player thinking about something else other than, I'm just going to streak past you. I think that Thomas showed, and you're going to love this one, Thomas showed that he's actually better than VK when he came on.
It's hard.
Yeah, but VK made two goals. Why are we worrying? Where is his backup? Where is Ricardo's backup? Where are the wingers? Where are the midfield players? We have this massive gap between those four that are in the front. And yesterday we were playing until they scored. A team with playing five at the back, and we had two in the box. So we need to think about a way of how you break that down. But blaming the defenders for every goal, it starts elsewhere.
Yeah, but I know people disagree. I know the goal was, you know, to do with VK. I know that was down his side, and he could have dealt with that better. But I did think
better. He got a skin.
I thought VK was better than Thomas.
Well, because that's what everybody believes. There's one player in the team that everybody says he is the root of all problems, and therefore everybody piles in on that one player. It's like Dakar.
No, I don't think that's the case because what did we concede a goal after Thomas came on? We didn't, did we? The goals came before Thomas, so we know Thomas isn't the problem, the only problem in the team. But I still, from that performance, and yes, I know he could have dealt with the goal better. I would still rather VK starts next week on Tuesday.
But why? But honestly, let me just ask the question: why? Thomas has played most of the games. I reckon the manager. This is just me being devil's advocate. Said, I've had enough of you people telling me that VK's the man to start. He got the wrong attitude. He'd got the arse all the way through the game. He, like you say, kicked out at this. And when the moment comes, he got beat. And the manager just pulled him. Said, right, you know, you've done your time. You've proved to me that you're not in the position that Thomas that can do that position. And that's all we've got. You know, they're saying, let's play the kids. The kids are playing under 21s. Can you imagine stepping out as a left back in that atmosphere and the bloke runs past you?
Well, Aluko conceded 4 on Friday night. But I was going to say, Steve, just quickly on VK, I think we all know that it's marginal. Like, they're both awful. But, yeah, what did you make to Victor's performance?
Well, it shows how bad he was that he went straight down the tunnel when he came off, you know, and he came out 10 minutes later with his tracksuit on. Yeah, he wasn't great, but the first goal wasn't his fault. That was Ricardo's fault. It was. No, but the ball got swapped from one side. It did, but if you look at the tracking runs, Samari and Ricardo aren't sprinting back; they're gently jogging back to their positions, and then it came across. Exactly. Whereas, yeah, no, that goal that we can see where VK, it takes around the back of him, and then he just gives up. Like, you still got to put an effort in. I'd rather you bring him down and give him a penalty at that point, because at least you've got a chance of saving it. He's just not good enough, and he doesn't want to be here. He didn't want to be here last year. When he came back from Bologna, he wanted to sign for them full time, and I understand it, because I'll be honest, Bologna is beautiful. Like, it's a wonderful place. I'd live there myself, but like, he didn't want to be here last year. He clearly doesn't want to be here now, so don't play him. And if you've got to play a Luco, who, as you said, conceded 4, but by all accounts had a decent game against Man City from what I've heard. I'd still rather play Aluko because he's physical. He's also quick. He's quicker than Thomas and Aluko. So if you make a mistake, he can probably get back into those positions a bit better because he's quicker.
Kate, Victor.
Well, I think we're focusing on the wrong thing. We're always going to make defensive mistakes, and I agree that Thomas and VK, it's not a position where really that's not the be all and end all for Leicester City. We desperately need a new left back. It's got to be a focus in the next few windows for sure. But the problem is that you put yourself under so much pressure because of the style of play that Steve alluded to. We play out from the back, and we've got a defence that can't handle pressure or high press. And also similarly, early on when we created two really good chances, one of which obviously was Mabadidi heading the ball in when he should have left it. But the problems for me are the creation. The whole aim of football is to score more than the other team. It's not to not concede. That's not the aim of the game, really. It's just to score more than the other team. And I think we just don't create enough. We don't play. Like I said, we only have 4 attackers really going forward. We don't move quickly enough in the transition, and that creates its own problems, really. So that's where I think we need to focus, and that's again part of Marti. It's part of not really having a stable number 9 or a good enough number 9. And I think Winks and JJ, when they're playing together, aren't physically forward enough in the attacking transition in that double pivot role, and that's really frustrating. And that's why we only create 2 or 3 chances a game. So basically, we have to convert almost 100% of our chances to give ourselves the best chance of winning the game. And by the law of probability, that just isn't going to happen. If you created 15 chances a game and you only score 1 or 2, then the percentage is much lower. Do you see what I mean? You're not giving yourself a good enough opportunity to win a game.
No, it should be better now, the audio. Sorry, I forgot to mute my end. Let me bring this comment up then. Graham, I'm going to come to you first. So I keep seeing people say, oh, play this way instead, play that way instead. Play to the, Clibo, for example, keeps saying the same thing. Marti's not playing to the players' strengths. The question here is, what are the squad strengths? Because I don't know what the squad strengths are. I don't think they're particularly strong at anything. I do think though that they are better suited at this level to possession-based football, which was why I was kind of against the idea of Sean Dyche, in the summer, because I just thought, I don't think I think I said that we've got a squad full of pussies, basically, but I don't think we've got a squad to fight for second balls, to win the ball back and all of that. So what are your thoughts on that? What are the squad strengths? You.
I can't find it. No, I'm only joking. Yeah, but I think the issue is that we're trying to play one-touch football with the 2-touch players. Winks has got 1 foot. He'll have to go around in a circle if he doesn't get it to it. We're not playing triangles. We would, we all could have done with buying some championship clogger that would be in midfield and go, don't worry, I'm going to kick this bloke. Because we are playing like we're still in the Premiership. We go down so easily and expect the referee to give it. I think that it's a lack of confidence born by the fact of lack of goals. But I'm not in the strikers' union. But how many times yesterday did we see the ball go in the box behind the striker or over the striker? Yeah, the only, we moan about the centre forward, but the only thing he did, which actually was really good, was the dummy for Mabadidi to miss Kate. But that was striker thinking. That was putting somebody in a position where he would have the space. Goalkeeper makes a great save, Mabadidi misses, blah blah blah. The rest is history. So it's always been the way. Again, I'm doing at Leicester at home. It's always been we need an early goal. If we don't score in the first 10 or 15 minutes, other teams gain confidence and get in it. Blackburn started with 5 at the back. They didn't bother with the high press because they knew what it was doing. And oh, by the way, this is the ball. It's going to go here. It's going to go out there. How many times did their players intercept a ball because they knew exactly what we were going to do? And again, it comes down to that team of players is capable of being mid to playoff level. But they've got to play with confidence. Well, they're not playing with confidence, and we as fans have something to do with that. I don't think the manager... I'm with Kate. I don't think we should change the manager of it. But are the players buying this bloke? He looks like he's a... I can't say this. He looks like he's a waiter. He's not quite Manuel out of 40 Towers, but he doesn't have an aura about him as a person. You know, whatever we say about Ruud van Rubbish and Cooper van Rubbish and all the managers we have, you have to first convince the players. Now, we've got rid of all those ones, well, we've never won anything type things to say to managers. You know, but where is that? Where is that? And if I think Rudkin, if he did have a go, represents all of us. Because if he went in there and said, look, you know, we've got you a squad, they're not playing, there are some basic errors, what are you going to do about it?
So, can I... So I agree with you, Graham, actually, in regards to the manager and whether or not the players are taking him on board. So I said in summer, we need a manager that is strong-willed, that will tell the players this isn't good enough and deal with it. For me, do you know I don't know if Locke, you'll know this, but Graham and Kate might. Do you know the skunk from the old cartoons that used to go after that cat? Yeah. He looks a bit like that for me, Marty. A bit. He's getting a bad friend. But I agree. And then somebody put here about Ange Ball. Can you imagine how great that would be? We'd be terrible. We'd lose a lot of games. But imagine Victor Christensen and Vestergaard on the halfway line pressing and be it'd be incredible.
I was going to say, I mean, somebody said here, give us Big Ange. Graham would love that. He would sort this bunch out. Kate, he couldn't sort out Spurs or Forest. So what makes you think he's going to sort out Leicester?
No, I know. And this is where, I don't know if you've seen Tony Pulis' comments over the past couple of weeks. He was saying he always got slated for his style of football, and all of a sudden people are starting to look to it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an interesting thing, how it comes full circle. But yeah, for me, and I'll keep saying it till the cows come home, the players are the problem. We've lost some world-class players in Jamie Vardy. Obviously, Ricardo isn't what he was. And you can only do as well as the players that you've got to work with, really. And we haven't got good enough players, whether that's aptitude, ability, or whatever. The only thing I will say that I am quite frustrated about Marti about is we were talking about strengths in the team. The obvious strength for me is the JJ Winks partnership. And I think it's absolutely criminal to ever break that. Unless it's an injury to either one, because that's the only thing that really works, and they really complement each other, and JJ is really good at pushing forward. So to put JJ in the 10, we've seen it 3 or 4 times this season, it just doesn't work. And that is the strength for me that you probably have to start to build around, but you need to build around it to create, don't build around it to defend. And I think I do think it's part of modern football that it's this style of play talks about dominating possession, moving the opposition with your own possession football, and for some reason trying to keep a clean sheet. And the aims of the game to try and score loads has completely gone out the window for a lot of football, which I think is why a lot of people are starting to call it boring, because they're not playing the kind of game that Fatawu would thrive on, Mavididi would thrive on. Mavididi and Fatawu need a few chances per game to get one. They're just not getting it. I know, obviously, Mavididi missed a sitter yesterday, but that happens. He didn't really have any other chances to try and bury stuff. So, it's frustrating. But that is the partnership for me that we need to build the team on, because it's probably one of the best in the league.
So with Winks and JJ, with Winks in particular, I've noticed in the last 3 or 4 games he's turned into a bit of a bitch weasel. He's not pressing. He's not passing well. Winks. It's just a bitch that's a weasel, he's a snivelling little weasel boy. For me, he's misplacing passes too much. He's not pressing. He's not putting in tackles. I'm wondering if he's seen the reaction from the fans. He's just gone, okay, I'm not going to bother anymore. And I'm worried that when we get to January, he's going to down tools even more, like we did when we got relegated from the Premier League the first time, where players were like, I don't want to get injured because I want a big move. Is that going to happen with Winks? And should we think about moving him on in January potentially?
Before you hand me another low ball question, I think the Winks thing was, there were a couple of times he's standing there with his hands out going, and I'm not like, where do I pass the ball to? Is anybody making a move? We're all standing in a row. We've got Fata, we've got all the players.
You saw the shot though, right? In the second half.
Well, that should have been that shot in the second half. He should have been taken out and shot for that. All the build-up. I don't know much about football, but I know if you go and kick a ball and lean back, the ball's going up. Put your head over the ball, keep it down. This is our moment.
It was a bubble.
Of course. So that's the Fatu thing. I think that to your point about the midfield is, I thought we're not making use of and this is, you're going to hate this one, why we should maybe necessarily play Fass and Vestergaard is there was one moment in the whole game where I thought we suddenly looked a bit more interesting, and that's when Vestergaard moved across the first halfway line into their half to give more space to others. If you could get one of... Sorry, am I...
Shaking the table.
About shaking the table. Well, it's the old age thing. But, just something different. We've looked good in games where Faz has gone up to the penalty area. Break it up, change it around.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to bring up this one here. Marti brought 3 outfield players in. 2 are arguably our best performers week in, week out, and the 3rd scored yesterday, but was wrongly flagged for offside. Has anybody seen that back? Was it wrongly flagged for offside?
I think he was offside. He looked like he was.
Yeah, I thought he was as well.
His run was slightly too early.
This is the other thing, though. I completely disagree with Kate. Let me find it, and it's not just. I can't find it now, but it's not. It was Clibbo who says it quite. Not just Clibbo, a few different people. I keep seeing people say, I would not trust Marti with the January window if we're spending money. And I don't get that, because, again, I think it's quite obvious that Ramsey and James are our best 2 players, and they are Marti signings, and we know that at this club, the manager gets a large say, so it is likely he had a big say in them 2 coming in. So I'd trust him with the next players coming in.
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. And that's the only time Marti has really had to show and prove what he's about. He's had a very limited time to do so, but his signings have been, arguably our best players. We haven't got to see Ramsey, and I am worried that this could be a loan signing that he just won't get going because of an injury and obviously the suspension early doors. But Marti so far in the window has impressed. I mean, we all slated Cooper for purchasing Skip, but Marti's tactics of what he wanted and how he did actually talk through what he looks for in players, and attitude and application was one of them as well. I think he's done enough to give himself another window. Now, I'm not sure January is the window for him, because January is a bit of a rubbish transfer window. People are overpriced, and often it's players coming to the ends of their contract or whatever. It's just a really odd time of year to buy. But I think he deserves the summer. I genuinely do, because if you brought another manager in, nothing would change. Nothing would change, because it can't. He's got the same players to play with. A lot of these managers play the same principle style of football, because that is the modern way. I disagree that Marti's going to waste in the window, because so far we've had absolutely no evidence of that.
Steve, one of the biggest dilemmas at the minute all season really is the striker situation. There is a comment here from Buzz who says, I think you have to persist with Carranza. He's not amazing, but he's a better option than Daka or Ayew. What do you make to that? Because again, I think every time I see him, I think uninspired. Like, I'm uninspired. Like, I just don't really see anything from him. However, he did score. He put the ball in the back of the net yesterday, obviously offside. But yeah, would you persist with him?
I would personally, because I think there's too much water under the bridge with Daka now. He's lacking confidence anyway, and he's never going to make it here. I don't think he can play that role. Carranza, whilst he's not great, look, he's only been here since the summer. As Kate said, you said yesterday, 200 minutes he played total? Less than that. So, you've got to give him a run of games. You can't just expect him to hit the ground running from coming off the bench and getting 3 or 4 minutes here and there. So stick him in for Middlesbrough, stick him in against Norwich, and work with him, because Daka is done. Sorry, Graham, I know you love Daka, but he's done for me.
I think he has things that he brings to the game. The only thing that he doesn't bring to the game is a goal. And I think that Carranza, people think that players have got to come in from a different league, play 2 or 3 games, and they're going to be world class. I've seen the opposite. I've seen players that come in and have played 1 or 2 really good games and then just slide off. When he gets the service that he should get and doesn't score, then I'll have him. At the moment, he's getting no service. If it's behind him, you saw the one where he broke through, he scored, fine. You saw him have the imagination to let the ball come through to Daka, fine. But most of the time, I saw him make runs and then turn around to Fatu and the other guy and go, I've just made a run. I've just created some space. What are you doing? So a striker, and Vardy, we love Vardy to bits, but he got 5 in the Premier League because he didn't get any service. He got 18 in the Championship because he got service. Vardy would have done no better yesterday, apart from being in the Fatu position, if that had happened.
Is that true though? Because Ayew is never in the box. Vardy would be, surely.
I don't know what I'm talking about, are you?
Oh, you're talking about who? Carranza?
Carranza, yeah.
Yeah.
What I like about, again, Ayew comes on, he sticks his big bottom into the defender in front of him and tries to bring people into play. If you look back at players like Heskey, we talk about his goals, but the majority of his role was to sit there, hold the ball up while the rest of Leicester came up to support him, because he'd be there for a few minutes because they're all old and smoking fags and coming up over the halfway line in their wheelchairs. So he's not even being able to play hold-up play.
Ryan says, I'd rather Graham, Steve or Locks up front. Ryan, girls play football these days?
What about me?
Yeah.
What about me?
Dodgy move, mate.
There was a comment here as well. A striking in service. Carranza got none yesterday. Look, let's talk about Mavididi, Kate. Monga didn't play. He wasn't even on the bench. Obviously, he was ill in the week, so Marti didn't pick him. Although I was slightly disappointed that he didn't even make the bench. I know he only had one training session, but surely as an impact, you can be on the bench. But what did you think to him? Because I think he took on a few players, but similarly to the Coventry game earlier in the year, a golden chance. And not only that as well, that earlier in the game when Vestergaard's header was going in and he got on the end of that, clearly in an offside position. He just can't get any luck at the minute, can he?
No, I don't think he can get any luck, and his confidence is low. And I've changed my little mind on Mavididi a little bit after his reaction sitting in the dugout after the Coventry game. Like, this guy cares and he really wants to just sort of break his duck almost and start scoring again, because you do feel with a lot of these strikers or attacking positions that once they score, then hopefully floodgates can be opened. But at the same time, particularly the one-on-one with the keeper, you cannot be missing those chances. Their second goal was a very similar position, actually, and he smashed it into the top of the net. So Mavididi just needs to focus on that. His decision making in those final moments before the ball hits the net has been really poor, and it's not what you want from a striker to have stage fright in the 6-yard box. It's not what you want at all. And sometimes that's what happens. You've not got the run of the green. Your confidence is low, and that's just how it goes. But overall, his play was okay yesterday. Again, with attacking players, I wish he'd take his man on. I wish he'd flood the box a bit more, and that includes him. He does seem to be taking his fullback on a bit more, which I'm encouraged to see. But not reading the game when that ball was going in and it was offside. Like, you've got to do better than that. He was literally the last man he could see down the line. Just get out of the way. Just get out of the way. The two chances that would have transformed the game yesterday. That would have been 1-0 really early on, and it just feels different then. And Leicester are a different team when they're winning. We saw that when we got hold of the game at Swansea. The confidence becomes better, and you can see Marti ball in full flow, but they can't get it going. They really cannot get it going. And Mavididi's chance for me yesterday was a little bit unforgivable, because you can't be missing those chances.
Steve, sorry. Just before I ask Steve, this is what he was talking about earlier. So there you go. What's it called?
Pepe Le Pew.
That's okay. Marti Le Pew.
Marti Le Pew. So there you go. But no, Steve, Mavididi, mate. Again, like, as we just said, like, he just seems low confidence, can't get any luck. Do you think Marti should just kind of play him through it and trying to get on the other side of it? Because also Fatawi's not great at the minute, and I do think it's a system problem, right? I think that this system isn't getting the best out of the wingers, and that's what Enzo managed to do 2 years ago, and Marti's not doing it at the minute.
Well, yeah. Like the problem with the wingers is that we're not getting the fullbacks to support. We don't have Justin doing the underlap. We don't have Ndidi doing the underlap at times. So it gives them less options. And you see with Abdul yesterday, he just kept cutting inside. He can't do the other running around the back. Mavididi's the same. He can't take a player on the outside. And so, I think you've got to play him, because Monga's not brought anything to the table. He's been quite poor. And I know he's only 16, so you have to expect that from him. He's not going to be consistent at this point. You play Mavididi and you keep playing him. Hopefully he does something. But I guess if you don't play him, you bring Silko Thomas on. And because at least he's young, he's energetic. He did try against Millwall in the second half when they finally passed him the ball. Or was it? No, Hull, sorry. He he was okay there. So there are options, but he's a sellable asset, and you're only going to be able to sell him if you bring him into form. So he's got to do something. And if he gets a goal, he might turn it around. Like we've seen it before. He's a player that when he scores, he goes on a bit of a streak. He's a bit like Vardy in that sense. So yeah, just play him at this point.
Tony, if we're blaming the system, yeah, I mean, no one's denying he needs to change it up. Like, just because me and Kate like the guy and don't want him to be sacked doesn't mean we're not saying he should keep everything the same. I think he does, and again, I think he's part of the problem. I think Marti is part of the problem, but I don't think he's the main problem. Although he has to change something because what he's doing right now just isn't working. Luke says, Graham looks handsome today. He's making Locks look bad. Locks should have worn a scarf today.
I liked him in the worn a shirt. Oh, no, you have got a shirt on. It's just bleached.
Yeah, I'm not, yeah.
I'll get the audience figures up.
Yeah. I can see them running from Jamie over here already. Do we need to go back to basics and focus on defending first to try and get clean sheets, then focus on other areas of the pitch? I think this is the first thing people say when you're not winning games, but what do you think?
I think, just going back to the other point, is wingers disappoint. Keith Weller disappointed at games. Lenny Glover disappointed. Stevie Lynex disappointed. Mahrez disappointed. Yeah? But when you've got two players, I feel for him in the sense that his head goes down, but I also want to scream at him and Fatu when they lose the ball and just stand there like a couple of spoilt children. I think the other issue that he has that we think we touched on this earlier. Right, yeah, I'm ignoring all that. But the issue that we have is that we don't play in pairs. You know, a winger needs a fullback, whether it's an underlap or an overlap. When has the winger been able to hold up for a second? And I felt that that could be one of Thomas's skills, and it was VK's skills at some point. I love Piera. He does some great stuff, but he hasn't got the pace to play the football we're playing these days, and it shows. I mean, maybe we move him into midfield.
Well, he did a lot of inverting, didn't he? I did like the underlaps or underlaps he was doing yesterday. He managed to get a good few balls in the box there. But right, I want to just take it over to end with in the last 10 minutes. Just before I do that, though, can you ban Frankie for his slander? My feelings are hurt. Yeah, Luke needs a haircut. Luke still gets his mum to cut his hair, though. I found out yesterday, and she's just she hasn't.
She's probably the only person brave enough to go anywhere near
it. Kate, Marti, right? So we now is it just 2 games left before the international break? I believe.
Yes.
2.
Yeah.
So what happens, Kate, if we lost both of them games? Do you think they will panic and get rid of Marti if you lose to Middlesbrough and Norwich, who are bottom of the league, or are they bottom? Near the bottom.
They've lost 6 in a row.
6 in a row. I don't think they've won. They've won at home. Because I think it will be like it will be toxic, Kate, if that happened. If we lose the next 2. But what do you think the board will do about that?
I don't think they'll get rid of Marti. I don't think they'll do it this early on. There's just no reward for doing so. I mean, Rue didn't last long. Cooper didn't last long. We lasted too long with Brendan. So they're damned if they're doing, they're damned if they don't. Like, I just wish that people talk about, I've said this before, people talk about insanity as doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results in regards to playing certain players. But the same applies to consistently sacking managers. What do you expect to happen if you are constantly asking a manager to do a rebuild and then you give him less than 15 games to do the rebuild, get annoyed, frustrated because he's only had one transfer window and then start again with another rebuild? Like, you just have to cut your cloth accordingly, and you've got to give someone a chance to prove themselves and get their ethos running through the club. And I really hope the club don't panic, but I don't think they will. They've kind of got bigger fish to fry at the minute with this points deduction that I presume is going through some kind of proceedings and spending money on that. And it'd be unfair to bring another manager in if we are going to get a points deduction. So Marti, for those Marti haters out there, I feel like we just kind of stuck with him. I wouldn't use that phrase, but Marti, for me, is the best that we've had in a good few managers to try and push this team forward. He's made some big decisions. I think his subs on the whole have been okay, though yesterday's weren't great. And, he makes players front up to their mistakes and front up to some of their fallings out with the fans, for example. Like, this guy's a good guy and wants the best for Leicester City. And that's more than I could ever say for Ruud. So I just think Ruud was quite self-serving, whereas Marti seems to be about the greater ambitions of the club, but he's not going to do it in one window. He's not going to do it in 15 games. And while it's really disappointing, for me, a lot of this blame at the moment lies with the players, and we need to ship them out.
Yeah, I said if he loses both games, he might get sacked. I don't want him to, because I agree with what you're saying, Kate. I think you need a manager to stay in and actually rebuild the team. Give him a couple of transfer windows, because I don't count the last transfer window as his. That wasn't his transfer window. And then the summer's going to come up, and we're going to lose 6 or 7 players on massive wages that will free up a lot more for the club. My only potential issue with it all is that, does Top think we need to get promoted this season? And if we do, he'll sack the manager. If he's like, okay, if we spend a season in the Championship, then he'll keep Marti. It's as simple as that. But I'm worried that Norwich lose on Tuesday or Wednesday and they sack Manning, and then we get battered against Norwich. But I think we also get the points deduction in the international break as well. I think that comes up then.
Graham, no, I said this to you yesterday after the game. Like, only Top and whoever else who make those decisions, only they know how much is going to be available in January, if any, to spend. I've got a feeling that will be the deciding factor, because I feel like if they're not spending any in January, and we lose the next 2, or we don't win in the next 2, I think they might think they have to sack him, because there's not going to be any new players coming in. These are the players he has to work with until the end of the season, and at the moment, he's not getting enough out of them, so a new manager is the only option. But if they are willing to spend, if they are going to spend or planning on spending in January, then I think they will give Marti that window and let Marti bring in his players, because this is how football works. They would have, since August to now, they would have been having meetings, recruitment meetings. Marti would be telling everybody, what position he needs, what type of player he needs in each position. So if they're going to spend, I think they'll back him.
Well, that's a very good point, Lox. You've been practicing on stuff or what?
Thank you.
Both of those I take, because I think one is my first question is, I would be expecting Marti to go to Rudkin this week or maybe yesterday afternoon and say, this is my plan for fixing this. I would think that a manager, we would talk about all the games. We've lost 3 games, we've drawn 8. Yeah, so it isn't good, but it's not glued to the bottom of the Premier League. A Premier League? Those are the days. Championship. But a manager that loses 5 games in a row normally gets sacked. Now, has Top and Rudkin learnt their lesson and maybe, we'll keep this guy on if he does it? He gave a good spiel. But just in case, we'll have a plan B. I think Maya would spend money in January on getting some cloggers in, like I said, and also to your point about Top, although we were screaming we've got to get promoted this season, I don't think either Top or Rudkin think that that's a game. He'd rather a team that played well. You look at Sunderland that have gone up. You have a good season. If you can't, you bring some players in and you then get promoted again. The pair of them won't want to get a third relegation in 4 or 5 years. So
I guess it depends on the finances. If the club desperately need the money,
I don't think we're not owned by King Power. We're owned by a multi-billionaire.
No,
I don't think the actual finances have ever been an issue. But the rules were brought in again with the PSR thing that people can't. We don't have Emirates, Etihad airline sponsors as Man City have. I think the money's there. Again, that brings you on to a bigger question: is the will still there? You're not going to. Everybody says, "Oh, we want them out," or not everybody. A group of people say, "We want them out." Well, first you've got to find somebody with 500 million just to take the club over, because that's the money. Then they've got to want to invest in the club to take it forward. I believe the board is trying to do the kind of like, we need to be able to bring our own players through and have a sustainable model like we've had in the past of selling top players, bringing players through. Because basically, if I'm an owner, and I've just invested £500 million in Leicester City. What am I going to get? Am I going to win the Premier League? Oh, they've already done that. You know, I can't see somebody investing. It's not like we have a fan base that we can get 60 to 100,000 people and a world thing. We are little Leicester, and you know, I'd rather us be playing above our strength than trying to try and get straight back this season. I want everybody going to the ground going, oh, well, that was a great game, wasn't it? We did really well. They tried their heart, even if we lose, but that. We're a long way from that.
Last thing I want to ask, if anybody has an opinion on this, we spoke about it yesterday, Steve. I actually think Marti is the type of guy to walk if...
Oh, balloons.
Oh, that was... Yeah, I think it's...
Thumbs up.
Hold on. Oh, it's not working now. No, Kate, I think he's the type of guy to walk if the if the relationship broke down between him and the board, or if he feels he can't turn it around. You know, because Brendan didn't want to walk because he wanted the money. Same with Rude, we guess. Yes, the phrase is always Marti paid to be here, right? But I just feel like Marti might walk if he's not happy with how things are going, if he's not given any money in January. And I don't know what your thoughts are on that, if you think he might walk.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very uncommon for managers to walk. But having said that, Marti seems like the type of guys, if the landscape has changed or he can't affect any part of it, he's still doing it. If Marti can't change anything or isn't given the power to change anything, then there is that possibility. I'd like to think that isn't the case, because I think he really likes the project that Leicester could be. But the problem that we give no manager is that we don't give them any time. You know, I know people talk about the days of old when Alex Ferguson had a terrible start at Man United. And you even said it yourself yesterday, Locks, Man United now are starting to tick. It would have been so easy to sack Amorim 3 months ago. So easy. But you've just got to stick with it and see how it goes. If you think this guy is the guy for you in terms of his basic skill set, his man management skills, his culture, his ethics, then stick with him and see what happens. Because I find a lot of these managers very similar to each other. They want the same style of play. We talk about a plan B with every single manager, that they don't have one. And I think that's modern football, which is why there's not a lot of difference between one to the next. It just costs you more money every single time. When we've got PSR issues, you don't want to be spunking a load of millions on getting rid of another manager to get the same type of manager in, to repeat the whole process again. And 3 months later, we want him out. So we've just got to bear with him. But I don't think Marti will walk. But I do think he will be quite vocal, because I think he's quite an honest, open guy about what he requires in able to do his job. And I don't think he'll sulk about it. I think he'll be really respectful. I don't think he'll do a Brendan and air his dirty laundry in public. I think he's a really respectful guy, which is why I really like him. But he will also lay it out on the line about what he wants.
Yeah, Tony, he didn't fail at QPR, by the way. I mean, he went in when they were looking like they were going to go down, and he kept them up. So if not getting QPR promoted was a fail, then yeah, you got high expectations there, mate. But no, he didn't fail at QPR. Although you could argue at the moment he's failing at Leicester, that's for sure, just because of the last, some of the recent performances. Yeah, we're going to end it there.
Well, I didn't get a word then, do I?
What do you want to say? Go on, you finish us off. Go on.
No, I'm just saying, I really liked Ranieri, and we fired him.
Well, yeah. Well, were we going down under Ranieri?
Nah.
Really?
No. Ranieri went because Stowell and the sneaky players said that it was all on Shaky. So we'll get Shaky in as manager, because it was him that did it, not Ranieri. And look where that went.
Well, we stayed up, won the FA Cup.
And we had a good Champions League run as well.
And we sacked the man that they brought in to replace him.
Yeah. Well, there we go.
Bring in Ange. There we go.
Ange. I'm not sure on Ange. I'm
we
not
get
sure.
a lot of Aussie fans in.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to end it there. I'm hungry as well, so I'm ready for breakfast.
Yeah. You were ready for breakfast before we started.
Yeah. Thank you to everybody for joining us. Very much appreciated. Thanks for all the comments as well. Lots and lots of comments. So we will we'll do this again sometime soon as well. That's for sure. And yeah, we'll be live again tomorrow night, 7 p.m. of course, for the call-in show. So get ready for Ross. I don't know what's worse, sitting next to Graham or spending a call-in show with Ross. But yeah, thank you everybody. Again, big shout out to the beautiful frame. You're about to hear from them, and yeah.
the cancer awareness.
Go on, Kate.
I just wanted to say, I wanted to say it last week. Last month was Cancer Awareness Month. So for those that don't know, I had breast cancer 12 years ago. So it's a really important cause to me. So I know there's a lot of guys watching this. So 5% of guys actually get breast cancer. Not many people know that. But also, guys, check your balls. It's Cancer Awareness Month. I know you like feeling them anyway, but check your balls, check your boobs or your moobs, whatever you want to call them. But please check them because I got in early. It saved my life. So please just do the same whilst you're watching this stream. Thanks.
And any man over the age of 45 get a PSA test, prostate cancer, silent killer. You don't even know you've got it.
Steve's going to check my balls when we finish. Okay, thanks everybody. Much appreciated. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday and we will see you tomorrow night. All the best. Bye-bye. No more 200 grand, but our new sponsors, The Beautiful Frame, have smashed it with this Jamie Vardy piece. It's unreal. They're a local Leicester business as well, which makes it even better. And not just City, they do prints for other clubs as well. So it's perfect if you are stuck for a birthday or Christmas present for one of your friends or family. Now, the best bit, they have sorted BTG viewers out with a discount. Just use BTG12 at checkout for money off. BTG12. Grab yours now at thebeautifulframe.com. The link is down below.